Mitigation team introducing a credit risk dashboard for KPMG as it wants to invest in China. So I would like to tell you we used an American data set, but we can definitely do the same thing with Chinese information for any insurance or banks. So many business could be interested with such products. So that will be actually the main page. For instance, assuming KPMG just started a few years ago, we may just look at past information to see, for instance, uh, if there are any peaks of applications, of loan application, for instance, as we've seen in July or in October. And in that case, we might expect actually more to give more money away. The question I would like to ask is, but is there gonna be many defaults just before or after this period, which might actually endanger the company if there are unexpected outflow, large outflow of the company? We might become a bit stressed about this situation. So I'm going to select the default and charge off or even late applications to see if actually there is any peak during these periods. You have to remember July and October. Oh, apparently not compared to any other months, as we can see. Looks like a downward trend. Well, it sounds great. That means we will have enough capital to inject in the market in both of this period, July and October. So we shouldn't be concerned about this situation as well. Another information which we have here is loan acceptance rate. So in that case, I just want to make sure we made correct loan, or at least we are sure that we didn't give money to bad consumers. For instance, revolving utilization is a really good indicator of someone uh, to predict either is going to default or not. So the higher your revolving utilization, the more likely you are to default, simply because you don't have any income to pay back your debt. And as we can see, we had only 30% of acceptance rate of such of this selection, which is the highest revolving utilization we had on a portfolio among the applications. So it's a great news. We didn't make mistake. We could do the same with people with delinquency, with the high delinquency rates in the past 2 years. Wow, it's even like lower, 6%. That means we are pretty good at predicting such things. The next information I would like to show you, what is quite interesting. If you look at this pie chart, we can see like all the loan purpose is of for credit card is only 23%. Well, when you actually look at the grades we give to each loan depending on this risk, the first two grades, I mean the the most certain loan, the most the the grade the lowest, I mean the A or B grade is actually the applications we minimize the risk the most. And when we look at credit card, it raises up to 33%. So I mean, it's quite interesting. If you want actually to mitigate your risk or take only the most, the less risky applications, it will be in credit card. For instance, when there is a large drop in the financial markets, which may trigger a financial crisis, we may expect to rebalance a portfolio immediately with grades which are good, such as A and B. In that case, credit cards would be an excellent choice during this period. Well, and of course, on-time payments belong the same actually because KPMG is predicting really good customers. So next part is, but oh, what about the next application, the one in 2015, the current application we would like to know about their default. So if you remember, Mitigation team created a Chinese app on R programming. You simply have to drop your file here and automatically we will predict the default rate for the uh, coming application, if you remember. So it's exactly what we're doing here. And actually, we add this graph. We can see a clear binomial distribution. It's actually the prediction of default of each new application we're trying to process. So the higher your prediction of default, of course, we will reject your application. But we need a really important information. Oh, sorry, it's not that page, it's here. This is it. As you can see here, we got exactly the same distribution. Look at that. They're really similar. So the thing is that depending on the situation, the global situation of the market, we may choose a threshold, which actually uh, going to define either you accept, so it's below the threshold on the left part of the threshold, and what you're going to reject on the right. So of course, in difficult times, we may expect the threshold to be more on the left, as I'm trying to show right now. That's what we're gonna do, and such as KPMG will be able to show in live these results they're gonna have and analyze the risks they're taking uh, for depending on the choice of the threshold. So that's what we can see here is actually the the part of each prediction. That means we can see there are more applications between 0.1 and 0.15. So in that case, we might try to reduce it or to rebalance it. Well, another thing I would like to see is depending on states. Why? Because we may actually base or desk to key points where there are maybe less defaults or maybe more interesting uh, places where there are absolutely no default at all. And what we can see from this graph is actually large peak in Alaska right here. And that's why I'm quite uncomfortable with. So I just want to make sure, because it's quite difficult to see either it's on the same level as others or not. So you may simply check Alabama, sorry, Alaska, and actually it is, for instance, at 65% is way above the average, where the prediction is between 0.1 and 0.15. It's actually huge. So remember the average was 38%. This is huge. That's indeed, actually, I may be scared of setting an agency in Alaska. I may try to focus on other places in the US, or maybe in our case for China. But that's what we'll be able to see. And again, on the left part here, we may actually see the dates. The dates. So why the dates? Because as we have seen before, if we actually have many defaults again during peak times, actually we got two term structured offers, 30 months and 60 months. In that case, if we have invested in 2014, that means we will have um, no, that sorry. So if we inject a lot of money in July and October, that means we should expect a low default prediction just in this month. And surprisingly, well, I can't see July here, but October is the lowest default rate. This is a really good information to us, and we actually understand that we will have a lower default rate during this period, so more money to inject in the market. This is a great news, and again, that's why we should definitely invest in the credit risk market, in the personal loan market. In China, it has to be seen, but that might be the case. Well, um, we may actually try to see as well per range of income if we have a certain threshold with the thresholds hold change significantly. And for instance, the lower the income, the more likely you are actually to go above the threshold, so we will reject your loan application. So now we may actually, once we have seen the default predictions, that's how we're gonna assess your loan. And actually, the higher your your default prediction, the higher the interest rate we will require you. So when we base off portfolio optimization, I can simply do with the Excel, and we may try to see the situation of each subgrade. And I definitely like this graph. Look at that, actually, it just simply shows, for instance, the level of risk, which is the uh, the sum of defaults among the total sum for each upgrade. So, of course, if we require more income return, that means because you're simply more risky. So you have a default rate of nearly 30%, for instance, for G5 and G3. And look at that, it's crazy. In G4, we just realized that we have a really low risk and a high expected return. That means we may definitely want to invest a lot into this specific subgrade while being really careful because we have G5 and G3 right here. So it might be dangerous and we might misplace actually one one grade. So we can see as well the C is the most likely, the funded loans that will be our strategy. For instance, A and B are more likely to be chosen to mitigate the risk in the short period of time, and of course D and E in the longest period of time, which will maximize our profit. We may see actually the sum invested per state to make sure this is quite balanced across states too. That might be an indicator of risk if we are too focused on one specific area. And the last scatter plot I made, mitigation team made, is actually your funded amount depending on your risk. So as you can see, it's quite the most funded amount is right here in the middle. That means it's quite low. This rate dots up here, this is a risk we're taking when we invest or loan which is quite low, and that's what we may definitely like again credit risk. And this risk dots actually are measured here, the BAR, which is the worst 5% of your portfolio. That means at if actually a crisis begins, that's the amount we may expect to lose in such circumstances at worst. So it's actually great news. I'm surprised this amount is really low, and that's again a sign that KPMG and mitigation team, and of course Click, would like to invest in such markets. Well, I hope you liked it. And I will send you the app again so you can try to play with it. It's actually again a pleasure to have the opportunity to reach professionals such as KPMG and Click. I would like to thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you very soon. Well, bye bye.